Hello and welcome to the show. Tammy, your story, your community. Thank you for joining me. I just want to thank you as always for sending me your texts, your emails, and calls. I am so appreciative of all of the support that you are showing me. Remember, send those unique stories to info@tammymccotry.com. Want to talk to you about a couple of things today. One, want you to remember that this is National Suicide Prevention Month. Now, the month is almost over, but I still wanted you to understand about it and to know about it because I've lost some friends to suicide. And so this is pretty important to me. And there's the Lifeline number. If there's someone that you know, or even yourself, please use that number. That's your lifeline. And reach out to your friends and family. And if you can't reach out to them, reach out to that lifeline. Another part of this month is National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Month as well, Addiction Recovery Month. And there's the number for that line, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services. And they can help you as well. There's a helpline for everybody. These topics are so important to me. And the only reason I'm mentioning them is because of that. So I want you to please, if you need help or you know someone that needs help, please use the numbers. One thing that I want to talk with you about today before we get started with the show is that we've got to demand justice. I was appalled at what happened, and we're going to say her name, Breonna Taylor. The officers were not charged. And I just can't fathom that. I mean, in the times that we're living in now, I'm asking you to pray. Our country is in turmoil, and I really want you to take the time to pray and pray for our country, pray for our leaders, and most importantly, I want you to vote. Please exercise your right to vote, not just for the President of the United States, but for state and local officials, because it starts from the bottom and it moves up, and it does start from the top down. So we have to make sure that we have our voices are being heard in each and every way. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for letting me take time to do that, because it's just so important on my mind, and I'm being as transparent as I can be. Remember, I'm always talking about your story, your community. This affects our community. So we want to make sure that you do and what's right. So please remember to do that. Okay, so I guess I'm tongue-tied because I'm really, really excited. My guest today, she's 12 years old. She's a producer, she's a writer, she's an entrepreneur, and she's just a wonderful, beautiful young lady. I read about her story. She's in Chicago, and I read about her story. And when she comes on, she's going to tell you her story. And I tell you, it's going to hit you like it hit me. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my guest, Miss Avery Kelley of Inspired Melanin, LLC. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great, Avery. Tell your mother, Amy, I said hello.
Oh, I will. I know she's watching right now. So.
Yes. Thank you so much, Avery. You know, as I said, I am so honored to have you on. You're a talk show host. Oh, I forgot that part. Talk show host as well. Let's talk about who is Avery Kelley.
So Avery Kelley is a 12-year-old girl with very huge dreams for her age. One of her main goals in life is to be the youngest screenwriter ever. So she can portray stories of people of color in a positive light in ways that we normally aren't portrayed as on TV anymore. And that kind of makes me sad. And I'm 12 years old and I'm growing up having a hard time seeing some shows of people that look like me, which is appropriate for my age group. So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just create my own? So she wants to do that, and it is her biggest goal in life. And at the same time, she also just really wants to spread positivity the best way that she can, basically getting our stories out there to others, along with some of my own, which is why I created my talk show, Tweendom Talk Show, over this course of a crazy pandemic. But at the same time, I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I was able to have with Tweendom Talk Show. And I also create documentaries as well, and lots of different scripts that are in the works right now. So I am very blessed to be able to do all this. And also she loves to dance and talk to her friends too. So Avery Kelley's a very average, non-average girl. So
wow, you listen, for 12 years old, you have done a lot. Okay, so you started your Inspired Melanin, your company, at 11 years old. One thing I want to ask you about, when did you know, Avery, that you wanted to do this? I mean, was it when you were 3, 4, 5, 6? When did you know that, Avery?
So there's always been a part of me, I feel like, since I was very little, and I knew that I always wanted to do something with entertainment and art. It originally started with acting when I was really little. I used to always point at the TV and tell my mom, I want to be in there, I want to be in there. So I feel like I kind of knew when I had a very first audition of mine. I had my very first audition, like maybe when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And one thing that they wanted us to do was write a monologue for it. So I decided to do that, and I realized at the end of the day, I like acting. It's very, very interesting, and I love that piece of artwork. But at the same time, I just saw something so amazing in writing. And I started writing my own scripted series inspired by me and my friends. And I always would just write, not pay attention to other things. I would just write it out. And I feel like during that key point in my life, I kind of just geared towards, you know what, I really, really, really want to do this. And thanks to the help of my amazing friends and family, I would not be here without them. I was able to start Inspired Melanin LLC, my production company, and hopefully can blossom even more in the future. So that was just really the key point for me.
Well, you know, Inspired Melanin, let's talk about the name. How did you come up with that name?
I feel like two things that I wanted to do and who I am. As you can see, I'm chocolate. I'm a brown skin girl.
Yeah.
So melanin for me, it just gives me almost like a sense of power off, I feel like. So there's just something about that word that I just find so amazing. So when I was thinking about a production company name that I wanted to represent me, represent my brand, I was thinking about how I want to be able to inspire others, people who are my age, younger than me, older than me, inspire people all over. And at the same time, melanin, like that's one of my favorite words. I love just the word too. Also gives me a sense of self-empowerment as well. So I decided to combine those two because I feel like I want to be someone who's inspiring to others. And I want to be able to give other people some sense of comfort with my work. So I feel like Inspired Melanin just clicked in my mind immediately. It was the first name that I thought of, and that's what the name ended up being.
Wow, at 11 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about this because you talked about a monologue. So do you remember the monologue that you wrote?
Oh, I do. It was about, I was on kidscasting.com one day just for some random reason. I was just kind of bored, so I went on there, and there was an audition for a character in this web series. I've totally forgot the name of the series, but I remember the character. Her name was Peyton McKinney, and Peyton's my middle name, so I loved that name already. And it was about a girl who was a prodigy. And it was basically talking about, in the monologue, I don't remember like every little detail, but I remember I wanted to say like all of the things that she was, that what others saw her as, and at the same time what she wanted to be and what she wanted to accomplish in life. So I remember she was like, I'm just average. I believe she was like 9 or 10 years old. That was the age that I was at the time. And she was like, I'm just an average 9-year-old girl who just happens to want to be president, who just happens to know how to do math and science at a college level. But at the same time, I'm 9 and 10 years old, and that's all people will see me as. So it was very similar in that aspect. So I did it in my living room in a shirt almost exactly like this, size is smaller, right over there. And I filmed it, and I got a call back for it. So that was pretty cool.
That was cool. You didn't get the gig, but you got the call back.
Yeah, I actually decided when I went into the audition for the callback, I personally decided, because of everything that I had going on in my life at the time, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know if I can pursue with this. They seemed very interested, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I can pursue with this because of what I had going on. But it was an amazing experience. Without that experience, I don't know if I would have been able to fully indicate about what it was that I wanted to do. So I'm very grateful for that experience.
Wow. See, it's all those types of experiences that bring you to the point of where you are now. As you and I have talked behind the scenes, we talked earlier this week about how I am where I am now. And then to see you at 12 years old. I mean, this is just, I'm just bubbly. I'm just excited.
Thank you.
I am just excited. So let's move into your productions. So as you said, you are writing. So how do you sit down and in your mind and kind of come up with what you're going to write about, the stories? What's your process?
For me, it automatically starts, like, I can see the littlest things. For me, with my very first experience with writing, which is my scripted series, Back Row, that is the one that has blossomed the farthest so far. That one really started by an experience that I had starting in first grade, still leading up to now. But majority of the time when I think of an idea, it'll be during random times. I remember, like, if my mom can explain this perfectly, like, there are some times where I can be outside gardening with her, or I can be eating some shrimp, and then all of a sudden I'm like, light bulb, and I have to go upstairs and write so I can get the idea out before I forget it, because I can be forgetful at sometimes. So my key inspiration, I feel like, it's just the world around me. I feel like I always like to tell myself that they're like signals from God that's like telling me, like, oh, this is what you should write about. Oh, this is something that'll be very inspiring to your work. So they pop up out of nowhere sometimes. So my process when it comes to writing, just getting the idea down and just thinking of some words that can match with it, and then thinking about the character that could be saying them, or just the nature around them, to just kind of get a feel of it. But so it takes a long time, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, I feel like it really gets the message across, if you kind of see what I'm saying. So,
Yes, I do. It's kind of like visions. So do you have visions? Because I'm looking behind you and I see dreams. Do you dream a lot?
I do. I have lots of daydreams, and at the same time, I have lots of very realistic dreams. I know lots of the time people say when they're dreaming at night, they'll have like these crazy dreams of like them being on an ice cream castle in the middle of Alaska and like stuff like that. And my dreams are like scenarios that have either happened in the past and how I would do differently, or something that's happening in the future that sometimes does end up happening, which is crazy in my eyes. But I like having those type of dreams. But yes, I do dream a lot, and I feel like when it comes to me seeing things, like envisioning my writing, normally I actually talk the scene out before I even finalize it. Like my mom sometimes, like I'll sometimes talk to my wall. She'll, like, they may think that I'm a little insane, but I'm just envisioning the creative process. That's what I like to call it.
That's it. You're an artist. When we're artists, that's what happens. You can be talking to yourself and everybody around you be like, wait a minute, now what's happening? But that's a part of the creative process. You said you like to dance as well.
I've been a dancer. This would be my 11th year, but coronavirus, I unfortunately cannot go into the dance studio, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, I'm still very grateful because I'm staying at home and I'm staying safe. But I have been a dancer since I was 2 years old, and I'm still doing it. So that was kind of my first art thing. That was my first part of being a creator, an artist, was dance.
So what kind of dance? Ballet, modern?
So I do ballet, modern, jazz, tap, hip hop, and I used to do African. So total of 6 styles.
Wow. Yes. Hey, look, our producer is saying yes, because she danced with Alvin Ailey.
Oh, really?
Yes, in New York. So we'll talk about that in the back end when we get off. Yeah. So now, talking with you, and just like I said, I was so excited to be able to talk with you. You are just like a regular 12-year-old young lady. But you have a lot of dreams and a lot of aspirations. Talk about your television show. How did you come up with Tweendom? Because I know this is part of COVID and being sheltered in place. How did that happen, and what did you have to do?
So the whole inspiration actually originally started in March, right before the world shut down. And me and my mom were just sitting down one day and we were talking and we were like, wouldn't it be so cool to have a talk show run by teens and tweens, because of the fact that you see all the talk shows run by adults, but you never really get to see shows that are not only highlighting youth, but are hosted by youth as well, something that youth would want to watch. So I'm like, you know what, why don't I just create one of my own? So we wanted to film it like in a studio. I had some ideas for a co-host as well. And then the world stopped. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let this just halt my dreams like this, because we have no idea how long this could possibly last. So we decided we're going to make it virtual. We're going to be able to find some way to live stream it and still find lots of guests. And it'll be easier to find people out of state, considering I live in Chicago. Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. It would be easier to have people that are out of state. It would be easier to find guests, and it would be easier to gain a following as well if it's virtual. So we actually found a lot of good things coming out of it as well. So it honestly just went from one idea that you kind of had to accommodate to the circumstances that we were in at the time, and that we're still in at the time, considering that the virus is still alive and well. But I'm blessed to be able to have the resources to still be able to do the talk show and pursue it. And I'm really, really enjoying it. I feel like it's definitely something that I really needed. And honestly, if I didn't have it, I'd be very confused on what I'd be doing right now. So at the end of the day, it all turned out for the best. And that's really like the origin story of Tweendom Talk Show. And hopefully it can expand a lot over time.
Well, I'm going to make sure that it does expand. I'm behind you 125, 50, 200%.
Thank you
So
so
you got that. So let's talk about this. When we develop talk shows, what are some of the topics that you touch on, and who are some of the people that you talk to?
So lots of the time, I love to talk to kidpreneurs, basically entrepreneurs that are kids. I like to talk to youth who are doing really amazing things out in the world. I feel like one thing that I really want to do, because lots of the time youth, we're very underestimated, and it sucks, but can't is not, should not, and is not in our vocabulary. We can do anything, literally anything. And I believe that I want to be able to give an outlet to those people. So I also talk about lots of things that kids and youth are doing right now. Like, I know for a fact I have talked about TikTok a good 3 to 4 times on the show so far, because of the fact that it's something that takes up my free time and a whole bunch of other youth out there. But I also like to talk about some real world topics such as bullying and things like that, because unfortunately that is stuff that we have to go through. So I love to have my show as positive as possible, but also like to touch on some real world topics and topics going on in the world right now, because I feel like lots of people still need to know about everything that's going on too. So it's a wide variety.
Well, you know, as you're talking about that on Tweedom, as you're talking with your guest, and I had the opportunity to look at several of your shows.
Oh, wow.
Very impressed. Oh, I love your shows. Very impressed. Your audience, well, your guests that you have, they really open up. You know, you're very transparent. And of course, you're very transparent about how you interview them and what you're asking them. So let me ask you this. Being a talk show host, has there been any guest that you had on that was what we would call very hard to interview, meaning you couldn't get them to talk?
I feel like there have, of course, when you have a guest, you can tell which ones are more shy or a little bit more nervous than others. And of course, I don't have a single problem with that, because there are some times where I can be super bubbly and outgoing. And then there's sometimes where I can be like nervous, like shaking on the bottom. I'm not, thankfully, today. But I do not see it as almost hard to interview. I see it as they're a different person with sometimes a different point of view, a different mindset. So what I will do is go a little softer on the questions, but then afterwards just find a way to be able to have them open up, because of the fact I want people to be comfortable as possible when on my talk show, because of the fact that we're still kids, you know, like we are still nervous, and even adults, like they're nervous all the time. So no matter the age, I feel like my thing that I want to be able to do as a person is, you want to come on and be able to talk about whatever awesome thing that you're doing in the world. I want you to be comfortable while doing it. So sometimes I'll even maybe talk to them beforehand, just to like ask them their opinions, see how they're doing, just kind of open up to them, not just as someone that's interviewing them, but someone at who they can come and talk to as well. So that's
Exactly. Just sitting like we're doing now. If you were sitting in here in my living room, or I was sitting in your home talking with you, we're just talking to each other. So tell me this. What about TikTok? What are your thoughts about TikTok and what's getting ready to happen with TikTok?
See, I have been like, I was on Musical.ly. So before the whole TikTok evolution, there was Musical.ly, the app that they had beforehand that eventually turned into this app. I love TikTok. My hands down favorite app. Use it more than 8 times a day. Like, it's a little bit of an addiction. But as far as I'm concerned, with all of the stuff that was happening with TikTok, the whole shutdown in the US and everything like that, I was scared. I was very, very scared. Like, I was like, it was a problem with me. I had a major problem with that. And there was this entire glitch that happened where the day that it was supposed to shut down originally, which was in July, and it was like every day there was a new scare. TikTok's going away. TikTok's going away. TikTok's going away. So I'm grateful to know that apparently, based off of what I heard, it isn't going away in the US anymore, which I'm happy about, or just people that don't have the app can't just download it now. But I have the app, so I don't really have a problem. So at the end of the day, I'm just like, as long as it's not going away.
It's not going away ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Wow. That's it. So no, you're not taking it away from me. You know, and just talking with you, I can see how comfortable your guests are with speaking with you. Because I mean, this is what you do. This is what we do. We love to talk. Listen, you don't have a problem. I don't either.
Yeah.
So this is perfect. This is perfect. So let's do this. Let's switch now and let's kind of talk about your documentary. The way I found out about you was there was a wonderful article that talked about you doing this documentary. And I said, a documentary, and then it's on Soul Train. You have no idea at your age what Soul Train was all about unless you did your research. So I want you to see somebody that I had an opportunity to meet. Okay, who is that? Yes. That's him. That is him. That is him. Had an opportunity, Avery, to meet Don Cornelius. And I tell you, that really was, that was just a spectacular time for me because I had an opportunity to meet him and I had an opportunity to meet this next person as well.
I would be starstruck.
Soul Train host.
I would be so starstruck. Oh my God.
Well, let me tell you, they were like regular people. And, you know, Don Cornelius at that time was, because, you know, of course, Shamar Moore was the host.
Yeah.
And Don Cornelius at that time was just like smooth sailing. Very, very nice. I had an opportunity to sit down and talk with him. And I mean, he was a phenomenal man, a brilliant guy. Brilliant guy. So let's talk about you. Soul Train, Soul Change. Soul. Yeah. Tell us about that. And you did bring a clip for me. So we can play the clip first.
Oh, whichever one works best for you.
Okay, let's do that. Let's play the clip first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Avery.
The early 60s were a very different time from now. America was segregated in many ways, especially in the entertainment industry. During this time, there were minimal Black images on TV for people to look up to. Many civil rights events such as Operation Breadbasket, the Fair Housing Act, and the Chicago Freedom Movement helped reshape a few boundaries for African Americans. But when it came down to a wider Black situation in media, African Americans rarely had a clear path paved for them.
Wow. So I asked you to send me a clip. I wanted you to send the clip that you wanted to send. And why did you pick that particular piece of your documentary?
That particular piece that I decided to choose, I felt like it was information that I feel like was needed considering the circumstances that we're in now, especially in America. It was talking about how lots of the times African Americans back then were not only underestimated, but were very degraded in the entertainment industry and overall. And there were many movements that was trying to prove to others about how we shouldn't be seen that way. We're just humans with a different skin color. And I feel like that was in the 60s. And now we're in 2020 and we're dealing with that now, but not just out in the entertainment industry, like everywhere. And that just kind of proved to me how lots of the times if they were able to overcome it then we can overcome it now if we put in the hard work to do it. So the reason that I personally chose that is because it means a lot to me as a Black girl in America and the circumstances that we're in. I feel like it almost compares and contrasts, but more compares. And that is something that people really need to realize.
That's right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was done. Don't worry.
Out of the mouths of babes, because as I keep looking at that clip, I when you sent it to me, I looked at it and I was like, wow, I remember that time. I had an opportunity to march with Coretta Scott King, meet Coretta Scott King, speak with her for 2 hours at a time. Wow. And having the sense then, as you said, from that time and looking at now, it's almost like we haven't changed. How afraid are you for our country? Because, I opened up with asking people, we've got to demand justice. How are you at your age? What are your concerns now?
I'm very afraid. And one of the things is that I look back and people always say, like, those times were really, really long ago. Those times were really, really long ago. My mom was born in the 70s and so was my dad. And my grandma lived in Mississippi during hardcore segregation. So it was not that long ago. And knowing everything that's going on now, my dad is a 6'4" Black male in America. My mom is a Black woman in America. I'm a Black girl in America. And sometimes I'm afraid to even go out on a drive sometimes because I never know what's going to happen just because of the color of our skin. So there are some times where I am very afraid, but me with the positive energy that I have, I know for a fact that we can overcome it. I feel like it comes down to the fact of the people in the offices, the people with the legal ability to be able to make these changes. And I feel like if we do it the best ways possible, and at this point, I don't even know what that is, but I just believe that at the end of the day, we all just need to come together and come with one signified idea to just be able to try and bring it out to those offices to try to get the laws changed. Because I feel like the Constitution alone says that we aren't even completely human, and that hasn't changed.
That's right. It
comes down to just those little things that people overlook lots of the time is crazy. Mm-hmm. And we need to look at that.
That's right. And with us unifying, one of the things that I love of what you're talking about is that we as people, we have to now unify. We can't just look at the color of your skin. And we need to come together. When you talk about this, it brings back memories because I always tell people I was one of the first to go to my elementary school. There were 5 of us. We got spit on, we got kicked on, we got dirt thrown in our face, called the N-word, the whole 9 yards. And you're looking back now at that, then the same thing is going on now.
Yeah.
So as a young person, I can only imagine you at 12 years old, like you said, your father is 6'4". He gets stopped by the police. Lord, we're gonna continue to pray.
Yeah.
And you're in Chicago,
Illinois.
Chi-town.
Yeah. And there's sometimes where it can just be so frightening to me. And looking back, I'm blessed to know that I live in a good neighborhood and I go to a very diverse school. But you have to think the rest of the world isn't always like that. And I'm blessed to know that I haven't had to deal with a whole bunch of occurrences where I have been judged for my race. I'm not going to say that I haven't because I know that I have. at 12. But I've had some things said to me in the past that just can be really hurtful to me, but I know it's not going to be the last, unfortunately. But living right now as a 12-year-old, seeing everything going on in social media, like during a pandemic, for one. And I'm trying to stay as positive as possible about it, knowing that we can overcome it. I hope that my kids don't have to deal with this. And that's what people a long time ago were saying. I just like hope for the future generations, that this will stop. And I'm just thinking about it the best way that I can, knowing that hopefully this can prove to some people that it needs to stop. So that's just my personal opinion on it.
Well, listen, that's a great personal opinion. I mean, everybody needs to hear that. You need to go on national TV, and we'll get you on national TV, and you need to talk about it, because we need to hear from what your age group is going through, what you all are going through, because after all, especially with the pandemic, and that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you about, how are you dealing with the pandemic? How are you coping with being sheltered in place? What is that for you, Avery?
For me personally, I look on social media a lot and I see people that are like out with their friends and family and things like that. And I just saw one of my friends for the first time social distancing in a park more than 6 feet away from each other with masks on for the first time in 6 months last week. And so me and my family, we have not been eating fast food. We rarely go into stores. We have been getting out, thankfully, but we haven't been with a whole bunch of people whatsoever or in a large group. So for me personally, I feel like I'm blessed to know that me and my family are able to have the support that some people unfortunately cannot have to sustain ourselves during the midst of this unfortunate time. I feel like because of the fact that I have asthma, my mom has a compromised immune system, we just really need to stay as safe as possible, because we know people that have had the virus, and that's the last thing that we want for our family or for anybody else's family. So at the end of the day, wear your mask, stay safe, and just do the right thing. Like if you are uncomfortable with wearing a mask, wear a mask, because you never know what someone else who you may come in contact with is going through. So as far as the pandemic, I'm just very blessed. We've been handling it very well, thankfully. And I'm just really glad that we are able to have everything that we need to be able to just sustain ourselves.
Yeah, because you're going to school online, aren't you?
Yes, completely online, virtual, as far as they're concerned, until November. I don't know if it's going to last, like go after that.
So you've been doing school virtually.
Yes.
This just started during the pandemic, because before then you were going into the classroom, you were in homeschool?
I was going into the classroom all the way up until like a couple weeks in March. So after that, we went virtual, started doing Google Meets and everything. I kind of assumed at the end of the school year, with the way that things were going in Chicago, that we may have been online for the first half of the year. Mm-hmm. So I prepped myself for that. I'm very grateful, because it's very rare that I get bad grades, and I always have all A's. So I was afraid, like, oh, I hope my grades don't drop during this time. But I've been thankful that my teachers have been able to do their best to make it as accommodating for us as possible, giving us extra time, extra hours to be able to come and communicate with them. And my mom, who is a math teacher, who is literally right there at my fingertips. I use her a lot. I've had to use her a couple of times, but leisures of having a college professor in your house. So wow. I'm very grateful. I don't know how hybrid learning or like going back in the building, I don't know how I would have handled it, because my biggest fear with the virus is giving it to my family. I feel like if I got it, I'd be able to like fight it off. I feel like that way, but I don't want to give it to my family. So I'm trying to be as safe as possible, staying positive about it, thankfully, knowing that I have teachers that are able to be there and help me. So just staying as positive as possible about it.
That's right. That's wonderful, Avery. Do you have sisters and brothers?
I'm alone.
You are an only child. Okay, so let me ask you this. And I'm just imagining this. Everybody's working at home right now, right?
Yes.
Everybody's at home. How is that? How are you sheltered off? And
there are ups and downs. There are definitely ups and downs. More But it's so funny because right before this all started, me and my mom were like, I wish that we could spend more time together because I'm really close with my family. I'm thankful to say that I'm very, very close with my family. So I'm like, oh, I wish I could spend a little bit more time together. Now we're the only people that we see. Sometimes we can get on each other's nerves, but I honestly really enjoy it. My mom is definitely trying to make it as fun as possible for me. It's so funny because I just heard her laugh in the other room about what I said. But there's ups and downs. We get on each other's nerves, but at the end of the day, we love each other and we're always there for each other. And we're still having our fun little collaborative conversations on UFC fight nights because we love to watch that. So we're doing pretty good.
Fight nights. You love fight nights?
Yeah, it's so funny because literally every Saturday up until a couple of weeks ago, my dad still watches it. Sometimes me and my mom are busy because of school and everything. But Saturday we would watch UFC fight nights because nothing else to do. We'd be screaming at the TV and everything. So that's a highlight for me over this entire pandemic. So,
well, you know, that's what I said about the pandemic. The pandemic has had a way of bringing families together.
Yeah.
You know, where you have all your meals together. You know, everybody's not hustle bustle. Okay, I got to take you here. I got to take you there. I'll see you later. All right, honey, bye. Talk to you later. You know, and now we have slowed down. And this is a creative time for you.
Yes, I feel like I really needed this time, honestly.
Exactly.
To create. Because of this pandemic, I actually feel like I gained a lot of opportunities. Because of the Soul Train, Soul Change documentary, I was actually able to be highlighted in a week exhibit at the National Museum of African American History and Culture on a virtual seminar thing. It was like an exhibit that was virtual. And I also got to do a whole bunch of interviews. I got to start Tweendom Talk Show. I was able to have a lot of meeting opportunities with my writing. And honestly, I feel like without the pandemic, I don't know how much that would have been able to happen or at what pace it was able to happen. So, of course, the fact that people are dying and the fact that so many people are getting sick is a horrible thing. It hurts my heart just to even think about it. But at the end of the day, for me personally, and I feel like for my family as well, a lot of positive things came out of it. So I feel like I just needed this time to slow down, just to mentally think and be able to focus on my craft as well. So I feel like at the end of the day, this time was a bit needed for me. So I'm grateful for it.
I agree. Let's talk about how people can view your soul train, soul change. Am I able to see it? Will I be able to go and see it?
Yes, the main place that you can actually go see it is on my website for Inspired Melanin LLC, which is inspiredmelanin.com. So to spell that out is INSPIREDMELANIN.com.
All right. So I have do you want me to also, we can put up your email where people can get in touch with you, because that's how I found you. Through your email. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I get in touch with you. So now Soul Train, Soul Change, that's on the website. We're going to go and we can look at that on the website. What's next? What are you working on now? I mean, this is a big thing. Are you adding to it? Are you doing a second part, third part? Talk about that.
It's so funny because I was just thinking that literally this morning, and I hadn't shared it with anybody yet. But I was thinking, like, you know what? Maybe it would be cool if I did like some type of second part to it, or maybe a longer version, because this one is actually exactly 10 minutes long. So I was thinking maybe I could do more research, maybe even more interviews on people, considering the times we're in, then we can easily just create something up. So I was thinking about making it longer. But next for me overall is really just expanding Tweendom Talk Show, expanding my writing, which unfortunately I cannot talk much about because I can't really say that much about it. But yes, I'm expanding my writing a whole lot. And I'm definitely expanding Inspired Melanin LLC to the best of its ability, and hopefully creating some more documentaries and some more shorts over this time, because I have a lot of free time besides the time I'm doing homework.
Well, I'm going to call you because I've got a project that you might be interested in. And if you need an interview, Soul Train child, I can do I used to do it, girl. The robot. Mama knows. So, yeah. Yes. So I'd love to be a part of it. If you need anything, you know that, Avery, all you have to do is call. So let me ask you this. We're going to switch and we're going to talk about Avery, school, work, balance. How do you juggle all of that? Because now you've been talking about a whole lot. How do you juggle all of that, Avery?
Honestly, there's some days that I can be a bit of a challenge. My mom is a big thing when it comes to me balancing everything out, because she is literally everything. She is the hairstylist. She is the stylist overall. She is the makeup artist. She is the human calendar. She is the person that will help me respond to emails when I don't know what to say. So I am blessed to have her to be able to help me remind me of things when she has a whole life of her own to handle. So I feel like she's a big factor in that. And also, thanks to my school schedule, we do synchronous and asynchronous, whereas basically we have a class for a total of like an hour and 10 minutes, but we're on a Google Meet for like 40 or 50. And then for the remainder of that time, we're off the Meet completing schoolwork. So lots of the time I am able to complete my schoolwork then and may have only a little bit, depending on the workload, after school to do. And then I like to focus on Tweendom Talk Show for around an hour in the day. With my writing, I like to try and give that a bit more time because I like doing it. Depends on the inspiration I have that day. And let's say other meetings or other things, or like even time to set aside to talk to my friends, then afterwards I will do during a certain period of the day too. So it really just depends on what I'm doing. But I unfortunately am not one with planners. Like I just do a mental check. So it can be a bit difficult at times, but at the end of the day, I'm doing pretty good with it.
Well, Avery, what about your parents? What do your parents do now to inspire you? What are they doing to keep you motivated?
I definitely have to say my dad, he is Mr. Funny Man. I love having him around. He is the main source to cheer me up. My mom as well, but my dad, there's just some stuff that he can say that'll get my mind completely off of something that was a bit stressful to me. My mom definitely does her best to be able to comfort me. And especially during the times that we're in, I'm a very social person. I'm a pure extrovert. So not being able to see my friends is hard sometimes, especially knowing some of my other friends are going to see their friends as well. It can be a bit hard for me during some times, but my mom has literally sacrificed so much for me to still be able to have a good time in the house. Like we redid my room. Like we moved my room from my small room and she's making it into her office, like as we speak. And the room in the back that is huge, she made into my room. So I'm just like, one, thank you, Mom, so much. I know you're watching this, so thank you. They just made so many sacrifices for me, and I'm just highly appreciative of it. Like, I cannot give enough thank yous in the world. And there's some times where I gotta mentally check myself because there's some times where I can be having an attitude. And I'm like, Avery, you cannot have an attitude right now. Think about all the stuff they've done for you. Think about that. So I cannot say enough sorries in the world for that either. But I just need to check myself as a 12-year-old. At the same time, my mom is like my best friend. I always say that all the time. I tell her everything. We're really, really close. But at the same time, she's my mom, so I need to know what to say and what not to say. So.
Well, Mom appreciates that. Mom, we love you. I know I'm a mom too with an only girl. So I know, I do know. And you know, you're going to have those times. You're still growing up. We understand that. And that's part of being your age, because you're still 12 years old.
Yeah.
You're very mature for your age, but you're still 12 years old. And so you're going to live your life as a 12-year-old and move into the teen years, which is very soon, right?
Yes, I turned 13 December 5th. So I have a little while to go. It's so funny because this year passed by so quick for me. Like it mentally is in September. And the beginning of September was just last week, and it's going to be October soon. And that's just crazy to me. So this time has just really passed by so quick. All of my friends' birthdays are around this time, not December, but a little bit earlier. So I'm just thinking about it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be 13. So that's interesting. But yeah, I'm going to be 13 really soon.
Avery, let's talk about advice, because I know there may be some young kids that are listening now, your age and maybe in their teens. What advice do you have for them, and what do you want to talk to them, future writers, future producers?
The main thing that I just want to say is that I always said, you're not too young. That's the main thing that I always had to think to myself, because there have been people out here that are my age that have judged me, people older than me that have judged me for what I'm doing. So I feel like you just got to really know who your close circle is. And you also got to know like the people that support you. And I'm thankful to have a bunch of family and friends that support me. Thank you to all of you guys. Mwah. But also just to go for it, to be very focused, know what you want to do. Do not do something just for like the money or the fame or something like that. Do it because you enjoy it and do it with a purpose too. And overall, once again, especially for the youth out there, you're never too young to do it. Just do what you need to do. Do research. Google is your best friend. When I started this, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had no idea. And thanks to Google and lots of different classes I've been able to take, and lots of the supporters and lots of the connections I was able to make, including you, Miss Tammy. Thank you so much once again.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, for all of those connections that I was able to make, I feel like I'm just able to grow as a person. And for all the youth out there, and no matter who you are, actually, just try and find those connections as well. So it's a lot of steps, and it may seem like a bunch of crazy hard work, but it is all worth it in the end, I promise you. And I'm not even halfway to the huge goal that I want to be. Like, I want to be the youngest person to get an Emmy too. I want to be a lot of things.
You're going to do it, girl. You're going to do it. I already see. I'm going to be there. Listen, I know one thing that, that I always say is follow your dreams. You've got to follow dreams. If you don't think big, if you don't dream big, then nothing's going to happen. You've got to step out of your comfort zone. And that's what you've been doing. What preparation would you say to someone like a tween or a teen that's looking? What preparation do they need to have? What do they need to do to be in this business, in the entertainment business that you're in at such a young age?
I feel like the one thing is to try and get a parent or a legal guardian on board with it, because the funny thing is, like, I really tell people this story, but you guys are going to find out this story today, that I started writing my first scripted series a while ago, and I started talking to my mom about it. And I literally yelled at her saying, "You're blocking me from my life dreams." And then she was like, "Oh." And then afterwards, she kind of thought about how much this meant to me. And then afterwards, I decided to talk to them in a way more respectful way than that. But we just sat down and had a talk. And then afterwards, we just went through the preparation of course, research, because research, so important in this. And then not being afraid to reach out to people. The whole reason this entire thing started is because I reached out to a local talent agency that's in the Chicago area where I live. So I just did my best to find as many connections as possible and went from there. And then, of course, focused on the main thing that got me here, which was my writing, and the thing that makes me happy. And literally, I will go do no matter what my emotion is. So just think about those key things: parent guardian for tweens and teenagers and kids. And then, of course, research. And then afterwards, finding connections and just not being afraid to reach out to anybody. And then focusing on what you love.
Wow. So I know you can't talk about what you're writing. I know you're going to come back when you do it, and you're going to be back on Tammy, and you're going to tell us all about it. Do you use Final Draft? That's what I wanted to ask. And now for those folks that are out there, they may not know that, but, do you use Final Draft?
Yes, I use Final Draft.
You write the script? Okay, good. Yeah. Oh, we got a lot in common, girl. A whole lot. That's exciting. So now let's talk about what's next, because you did talk about the fact that you're looking at perhaps doing a part 2 of the documentary, Soul Train, Soul Change. You're thinking about doing that. What else is next for Avery?
Of course, my writing. I'm actually in, well, I can't even mention that, but there is a lot of exciting stuff that I'm looking forward to hopefully be able to get my scripted writing out there. I really want to try and explore some different things. Of course, Tweendom talk show, expanding that to the best of its ability. And I know for a fact I'm very happy doing it, and I'm really glad that I get to reach people every Friday at 6:30. So I'm just very appreciative for that. So of course I will be continuing doing that. And I also want to do, like I said, maybe even some short films. I've had some ideas, my gears rolling in my head right now. My mom is probably watching this right now like, you better tell me after this is over. So, but I have my gears rolling on a whole bunch of new stuff. So I'm just very looking forward to getting that out in the open as soon as possible. And at the same time doing it while staying safe because of everything in the world that's going on. Staying safe is one of my main priorities right now, along with my family's. So just doing our best to get my craft out there and at the same time just staying safe while doing it. So I'm looking forward to some of my future stuff. So be on the lookout for that.
Okay. And you know, like I said, I pray that you're going to come back on Tammy and you're going to talk to me about it. So let's talk about this. When is Tweendom? Tweendom is when and where do we see it and what time?
Tweendom talk show is at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So convert that to your time zone wherever you are. And then you can mainly watch it on YouTube at Tweendom Talk Show and on Facebook at Inspired Melanin LLC. This week, which is tomorrow, we actually will be on Facebook along with my Instagram, my first time doing it on Instagram, at my Instagram at Avery K_official. So you can also follow and look out for our new episodes on there too, and some special details about it if you ever want to learn about Tweendom Talk Show and where to watch it again. So those are the places that you can find Tweendom Talk Show. And of course, go to our website if you want to find out more about the stuff that I'm doing with Tweendom Talk Show, along with everything else, which is inspiredmelanin.com.
And then we talked about your official Instagram, which is Avery K_official on Instagram. Oh yes, I reached out to you on Instagram. Listen, they don't know we all got all this Instagram and Twitter and everything, so we have to stay up. So let me ask you this. I told you I was going to ask you about 3 words. 3 words that describe Avery.
3 words that describe Avery. I feel like they can change depending on the day, but today, passionate about my work, passionate about getting my messages out there. So I'm just very passionate. I'd like to say social, because social can definitely go in with a lot of different things. So I'm a social butterfly. I'm just gonna say that. So that is a very big aspect about me. And determined. And determined is because of the fact I am determined to get whatever done that I need to get done. And at the same time, I am determined to just be able to, once again, spread my messages out to the world and inspire a bunch of other people, as many as possible. So social, passionate, determined.
Determined, passionate, social, and determined. Those are the 3 words that describe Avery. Those are the best words that I've heard in a long time, because you are very passionate. You are very social. You know, we got this going on, both of us, and you're very determined. And I love that about you, because I can see you getting that Emmy. I can see you getting that Emmy and also an Oscar. I can see that. So I hope to be in the house. Miss Amy, don't forget me. I hope to be in the house, and your dad.
Thank you so much for everything that you have done.
Oh, it is certainly my pleasure. Now, the last question that I usually ask everybody, and I want to ask you, is share with us what it is that you want everyone to get from this interview. What is it that you want people to take away?
One thing that I want people to take away is to not be scared to do what you believe is right. Do not be scared to just talk about things in the world that are going on, because everyone deserves to have a voice and you deserve to be heard. And another thing that I want people to know is to never be afraid to go after your dreams. When it came down to me originally starting this, I was afraid because I didn't know what the outcome of my dreams would be. And it turns out that the outcomes are looking pretty good so far. So just don't be afraid to do what you believe is right. Don't be afraid to speak up and speak out about everything going on in the world, along with what you believe in. And also, do not be afraid of your dreams, because they're worth chasing.
You know, I want to share something, Mom. Thank you so much. Your mom says, and this was what to the parent that asked the question about what can parents do to inspire their children. Mom, quote, make sure to listen. Make sure to let kids pursue and make sure to let them chase their dreams, no matter how much they change, no matter how much out of the box they may seem. Now that's quote Amy Kelley.
Yeah, that sounds like Amy Kelley.
That's mom. Mom, we appreciate that. Everybody that's listening, I want them to be able to reach out to you as well. Tell us the website again, please, Avery.
The website is inspiredmelanin.com. And then to personally reach me, which you can at any time, is Avery K at inspiredmelanin.com. That is my email address. You can also find it on the website as well. And for social media, of course, where to watch Tweendom Talk Show is on Facebook at Inspired Melanin LLC and on YouTube, Tweendom Talk Show. And then my Instagram handle, which I am most of the time, is Avery K at _official.
Wow. Avery, thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, I have really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it because I have really enjoyed it. I'm just like sitting here like, okay, let her just go forward.
I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure to talk with you today and to be able to talk to your wonderful Tammy audience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my darling. Listen, Tweendom Talk Show. I want everybody to tune in to Avery tomorrow. And Avery, it's Tweendom Talk Show. I've been saying that. I've been trying to make sure I say it right, Avery. Tweendom Talk Show. And you can reach Avery at Avery K _official. That's on our Instagram page. You can see the Soul Change. You can see that on her Melanin, inspiredmelanin.com. Am I correct, Avery, in saying that? All right. Come bring her back in. Just bring her back on in, producer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I want to make sure that we have everything right. And we want to see you. I want to see you back on the show. I really would love to have you back when you have all of this stuff that you can share with us, Avery. And please know that you can call me anytime. If there's anything I can help you with, please let me know, okay?
Thank you so much. That means the world to me. And I would love to be back on the Tammy Show. I love being here. Thank you for having me.
I loved having you, Avery. Thank you again. Don't go anywhere. I will be back. And so, folks, I just want to tell you, thank you again for joining us. Listen, talking with Avery and listening to her as a 12-year-old child really just lets us know that there is hope. If we raise our children, we give them what they need, we inspire them, we keep them entertained, we keep them dreaming, following their dreams, there's hope. As I said, we've got to demand justice. Our country is in turmoil. I want you to pray. I mean, I need you to pray with all of your heart because there has to be a change. Listening to a 12-year-old say, you know, I'm afraid. I'm afraid with COVID. I'm afraid to even go driving sometimes. That says a lot. And she lives in Chicago. So we have to listen to what the message is. And as I said, the way we can do that is we've got to vote. So I'm hoping that you're going to exercise your right to vote. That means in the state, your local government, your state government, and your national government. Please do that. Not just for me, but for everybody. Remember, this is Tammy, your story, your community. If you need to get in touch with me, please go to info@tammymccotry.com. That's info@tammymccotry.com. I want to thank you again for watching the show. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for all of your support. And I'm praying for you as you pray for me. So tonight, that's it for us. Avery Kelley from Inspired Melanin. Thank you again. And thank you to your parents, Mr. and Mrs. Kelley. It's what you all have there is a treasure. And I want to thank you again. So until the next time, next week, join us where we're going to be talking with Sabrina Shepard and Gwen McCullough. They're going to come to us about mortgages, life insurance, how to do savings. And then we're going to talk with Marion Pollock. Marion is a breast cancer survivor and an entrepreneur. So I look forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves. It's your story, your community. Take care. Bye-bye.